Welcome back to Get Lost with Brooks. Today, I want to tell you a ghost story. This is a story I stumbled on by getting the complete shit scared out of me while camping in southern Utah. I was so freaked out by what happened that I had to find out, is this place haunted? In my search for answers, I discovered a history of mysterious deaths, treasure hunters, and the legend of the cursed treasure of Montezuma! Hey guys, it's great to see you again. Last year I came across this freaky and unbelievable ghost story about cursed Aztec treasure near a town called Kanab, Utah. Today I'm going to tell you that tale. How treasure hunters believe they found this gold in a canyon north of town, and how unusual events have prevented and even killed those who sought it. And I'm going to start with how I had my own encounter with something in that very same canyon that made me wonder, ghost stories aren't real. Are they? Real quick, I'm trying something new with this video. I don't have a ton of epic footage or anything. I just have this story and I really want to tell it to you. So please let me know how you feel about this new format in the comments. And I hope you like it. All right, let's do this. Gather around. Our story begins in the deserts of southern Utah. I'm on this road trip with my partner Anana, and at this particular moment, the sun is going down. We're driving to a campsite that I've never been to before, and it's just north of that town called Kanab in a narrow canyon with steep walls on either side. So the light is leaving the sky, and we pull off the road on a sandy trail that leads to some trees along the canyon walls. Right from the get-go, this place doesn't feel right. Like it's just too small and it's not level, and the way the trees and the bushes and the cliffs are silhouetted against the sky, it feels like they're closing in on us. But whatever, right? We found a campsite, and I'm not about to be like, ooh, I'm a wuss, I feel scared. Let's go hunting for a new campsite at dark, babe. No way. Tough guy attitude is in full effect. Yet, while I'm setting up camp in this canyon, I can't shake the feeling that we're not alone. I'm trying to be chill, setting up camp with the chairs, and a little voice in my head is saying, something is here, and it wants you to leave. It's fully dark now, and the light from my lantern is just making things worse. It's casting creepy shadows on us and the surrounding environment. The hair on the back of my neck is standing up, and fear is bubbling up into my throat, making me feel choked for no reason. I mean, I don't know. Should I tell my beloved that I feel like a kid alone in the basement, just afraid of the shadows? No way. Instead, I double down on ignoring what's going on. Out comes the incense. I bust out more light and put on some very chill music. Chill vibes? No, sir. Now my intuition is literally whispering to me, if you stay here, it won't let you leave. What is that, man? I'm doing my best to stay calm, but this choking is getting worse in my throat, and I'm looking over my shoulder at every turn, and at that moment, Inanna turns to me and says, hey, are you okay? And I'm like, hey, babe, of course, why would I? And she's looking nervous, and she says, I don't know, this place just doesn't feel right. Can we go somewhere else? I mean, wait a minute. Does this mean that she feels like I feel like it's not just in my head? Does that mean that something is really out there? I don't want to wait to find out. So we pack up as fast as we can and head to some cabins that we saw back in town. She tells me she felt the exact same thing that I did. Something was out there, and we were not welcome. Now, I've never had anything like this happen to me, ever, and I've camped all over the place, so I'm thinking there's gotta be something more going on here. And it turns out there is. You guys ready for this? This is where things get a little crazy. Let's go. 400 years ago, Cortez and the Spanish conquistadors are ravaging the Aztecs in order to steal their vast hoard of gold. When King Montezuma is killed, the Aztecs know that the treasure has to leave the city. 2,000 Aztec warriors and slaves carry the gold north from Tenochtitlan to a place we now call the United States. Where exactly? Some archaeologists believe the Aztecs considered Utah to be their ancestral homeland. So the warriors arrive somewhere, bury the treasure, and then, according to legend, they sacrifice the slaves so that their spirits will protect the treasure. Thus, the curse of Montezuma's lost treasure is born. Sounds like a pretty crazy campfire story, right? Except there's more. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and a man named Freddie Crystal is in Mexico in a monastery that's scheduled for demolition. In an old manuscript from the period of the conquistadors, he finds a hand-drawn map with symbols. And to him, the whole thing looks a whole heck of a lot like an area he's familiar with, Kanab, Utah. In 1918, he shows up in town and finds a cave with similar symbols carved in the stone outside. He and much of the town excavate the cave, finding endless passages, artifacts, human bones, but no gold. After 2 years, the town gives up and Crystal and his map disappear. But about 70 years later, a local named Grandt Child has grown up with these stories, and he has a new theory. He thinks the cave was a diversion, and the real treasure is buried under a lake where he's found petroglyphs, a circle with an arrow pointing down carved in the stone just above the water level. The Paiute Indians say it's not from their culture, and they warn him not to search for the treasure, and that bad things will happen if he does. Undeterred, Child buys the land and begins his search. He thinks the symbol could indicate a classic Aztec treasure hiding technique called a water trap. So Child gets a friend, Tony Thurber, to dive into the lake. Thurber goes down and finds a tunnel that appears to be human-made. When he enters it, he becomes disoriented, confusing up from down and in and out, and he says he gets caught in a heavy current and fears he'll be swept away. Somehow, Child convinces Thurber to dive again, this time with a safety tether. When he enters the tunnel, the tether feels loose like it's been cut, so he bails. Strangely, his friends on shore say to them it felt taut and safe the whole time. Child decides it's time to bring in some professionals, so he hires 2 pro divers, and they head underwater to find that tunnel. Their sonar shows that it's a 100-foot long tunnel and ends in a room that's 80 feet in diameter. They dive in and make it just over halfway into the tunnel before they reach the ends of their safety lines. That's when their metal detectors go off. Oh yeah. But it's the end of the day, so they pull out and plan to return in the morning with more safety line. That night, in a dream, one of the divers returns to the cave, only to find an Aztec warrior waiting for him, who throws his spear at him and kills him. The next day, that diver goes down first. He enters the tunnel and starts screaming. They pull him the F out, and he's shaking and he's white, like he's seen a ghost. They ask him what happens, and he tells them, "A shadowy figure emerged from the depths and began choking me." Whoa. The other diver goes in, same thing. Dude starts screaming, feels he's being choked, they gotta pull him out. Somehow, once again, Child convinces them to return 2 weeks later. Wouldn't you know it? Same thing. Both feel they're being choked. Both have to be pulled out. Finally, Child gets the message and stops trying to dive in the lake. But greed is a powerful force, and Child isn't finished quite yet. Next, he tries to drain the lake, but wait! He can't do that because the lake is the only home in the world to an endangered animal, the Kanab amber snail, which has a shell that glitters with flecks of gold. At last, in 1998, Child has some success. He's calculated the location of the treasure room based on the readings from the diver's sonar. He hires a well driller who bores a 4-inch diameter hole into the cavern. When the drill bit comes back up, it has gold on the tip. They lower a camera down into the hole, and what do they see? An image of a man with something nearby. This could be it. Child asks the driller to widen the hole so he can see more, so he drops a 10-inch bit down and it breaks. They were so close, perhaps too close. And that night, the driller goes home and has a heart attack and dies. Now, what would you do in this situation? You're on the brink of the discovery of a lifetime, but the closer you get, the more terrible things happen. I'll tell you what Child does. He goes back one more time. If you can't send people down there, and you can't send machines down there, what about radar? What could go wrong? He hires a company to use ground-penetrating radar to survey the possible treasure room. So they get all set up and they start radaring, and they've got their device and they've got their laptop, and as the radar reaches the edge of the cavern, the radar tech feels something in his stomach, and just like that, he drops the device and he falls down on all fours and he's throwing up everywhere. They have to rush him to the hospital, where he falls into a coma. Miraculously, he recovers, but the doctors could never tell what was wrong with him. Now, to this day, no one has found the lost treasure of Montezuma, and I'm left wondering about this saga of unfortunate events. Was it really just bad luck, or was it something more? A curse? Aztec spirits sworn to protect this place from greedy invaders? If you'd told me the story before, I think I would have laughed it off. Ghost stories aren't real. But after camping 1 mile south of this lake and feeling a presence, a choking in my throat, something that did not want me there, I don't know what I believe. What do you think? Is this really the resting place of the lost treasure of Montezuma? Is it protected by ancient Aztec spirits? Are ghosts real? I don't know, but I'd love to hear your theories in the comments. Thanks for listening to my ghost story. I just had to share it with you. This was definitely an experiment, so please let me know what you think in the comments. And if you're not subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. I want to thank my mom for helping me dig up some of these juicy details, and my partner, now wife, Inanna, for not giving up on camping, even after this hair-raising experience. See you next time, guys.